A tiny reading workplace pushing the safety of Bristol residents. Staff calls at the Memorial Hotel as
For the past 4 years, various story trailers and gameplay overviews have conveyed to us a project that is a wildly ambitious technological showcase, while also being narratively and mechanically dense. Immediate parallels were drawn between Atomic Heart and many other similar shooters, citing the utopia gone wrong narrative and complex combat that makes use of both weapons and special powers. And after playing the game, I can tell you that those comparisons are mostly accurate. However, while the gameplay is solid, the game falls short in other areas. Does that mean Atomic Heart isn't worth your time though? Let's find out in this review. Atomic Heart, for better or worse, is a game that is obsessed with spectacle. The developer's need to wow or shock you is palpable throughout the game, and while some of it works, some of it comes across as strained. Of course, it's easy to imagine that this new, untested studio would believe it has something to prove. Atomic Heart, the studio's first major game and one that is also incredibly high profile, with seemingly the entire games industry anticipating it. Everything up to and even slightly after the title card drop is dedicated to introducing you to Atomic Heart's world, and it is every bit as visually impressive as the trailers would have you believe. The designs of the world, people, and robots that you encounter are beyond imagination, and the graphical fidelity on display is very impressive. That much is clear from the game's spectacular opening. However, your first foray into Atomic Heart is also marked by walking through a crowd and being bombarded with a cacophony of conversations, all seemingly happening at the same time. This sequence happens only in the opening. You don't deal with groups of humans for the rest of the game. But it left a pretty bad taste in my mouth almost immediately. I kinda wanted to clutch my head, scream, and run somewhere quiet. The rest of the opening was comprised of several long cutscenes where the game takes its time to show you its gorgeous world and amazing graphics. Everything is visually breathtaking, without a doubt, but these sequences went on for far too long for my liking. By the point I was 15 minutes into the game without any kind of real gameplay outside of walking and interacting with various things, this shows up a few times throughout the game, but it's worse at the beginning. When you actually gain control of Major Sergei Nechev, nicknamed P3, things pick up very quickly and begin to get interesting. The level of environmental detail and the way that they're used for storytelling is fantastic. Things like the spiral masses of polymer that can be swarmed through as whispers of the past echo in your ears, and the metal tentacles that stick out of the walls to suspend corpses in their grasp inspire wonder and fear in equal measure. Mundfish's art direction team must have worked overtime on this, and it shows. In playing Atomic Heart, you can almost feel the games that inspired its developers just breaking through. Sci-fi gunplay and power combo and Dead Island's melee combat take center stage. But there is also a weapon crafting system reminiscent of Fallout 4 that plays a huge part in the game's progression. 5 to 6 hours in, the game takes on a typical open world approach, complete with towers to scale and cars to drive in order to get around. That turn completely changed how the game played compared to the aforementioned first few hours, but not necessarily in a bad way. Overall, these inspirations are implemented and combined in a way that feels unique to Atomic Heart. Even if you can see where the individual threads come from, it doesn't take away from the game's experience. What does take away from the Atomic Heart's experience is its writing. The core story and how it plays out is captivating, but the presentation and dialogue of some of the main characters just falls pretty flat. For instance, there are attempts made to make Major Nechev a likable character, but he comes across as just the opposite. Similarly, a character named Granny Xena feels like she was positioned to become a fan favorite, but just comes across as weird initially. To make matters worse, the weak English voice acting for both of these characters only amplifies how confounding and off their mark their dialogue actually is. Thankfully, Atomic Heart makes up for that mess in its gameplay, and this is where it really shines. Melee is brutal and crunchy, the weapons have great feedback, and the use of powers in the midst of everything else feels powerful. Everything feels smooth until you are insta-killed because of a fumbled QTE. However, managing groups of highly unsettling, out-of-control robots by mixing up your powers and weapons is thrilling, and dealing with the range of epic boss encounters is just as, if not more exciting, especially as you come across new weapon recipes and start building up your arsenal. There's some light puzzle work added to the mix with the action, and it's serviceable. It does its job of breaking up hectic rounds of combat, but it's nothing to write home about. As a crafting survival game, Atomic Heart has also found a way to take the tedium out of resource gathering, thanks to P3's trusty and fashionable glove, named Charles. You can sweep through a whole room and gather everything by holding down the Interact button. It's a supremely welcomed addition, as is the Detective Vision scanning function also offered by the glove, which shows enemies, resources, and interactables through walls and obstacles. In order to use those resources for crafting, you'll need to visit a fridge-like robot named Nora. When you first meet it, it's clear that Nora might be the weirdest character ever put in a video game, to the point of being off-putting. I kinda got the feeling that Nora's characterization were meant to be funny, but I was never on board with this joke. Not every crafting bot has Nora's AI, thankfully, but she still manages to pop up pretty frequently with plenty of things to say, including some really uncomfortable one-liners. There seemed to be an attempt at explaining Nora's behavior, but an unfortunate design choice caused me to miss most of that conversation. You see, the majority of the game, Agent P3 and his glove have frequent conversations. Most of the dialogue they share is just a bunch of nonsense. Almost everything P3 says is either cringy or poorly delivered, but some of it is plot relevant. Due to the length of those conversations, it is possible for them to get cut off if you move into an important area mid-conversation. That's what happened to me, and while I would have loved to know the explanation for Nora's characterization, it just wasn't possible in my playthrough. Keeping in mind that this is Mundfish's first major game, it is easy to dismiss the issues there are with Atomic Heart. The actual game, when you are allowed to play it, is really impressive, and it only falls slightly short of the promise of its hype. It's not quite your Game of the Year material, but I think Atomic Heart will hold its own in the gaming conversation for quite a while. Hey, did you know that we at GamingBolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.